Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, friends. I hope you're all doing well today. I have a very special book to share with you today. And I would like to say special thanks to Banaatul Ali Publications for allowing us to share this book of theirs. The title of this book is called The Blessed Olive Trees. Beautiful oval-shaped green olives swayed in the morning breeze. Aamenah admired them and smiled happily. She walked along the edge of the olive trees on the small farm that her family owned. There were olive trees of all shapes and sizes. Aamenah loved to climb the big, strong ones, but there were also some smaller trees. She looked at them with pride, remembering how she had helped her father plant and care for them every day. I can't wait to see them grow into big trees full of firm olives, she thought. The breeze carried an almost tangy sweet smell. Was it the olives, the nearby jasmine flowers, or maybe the sea far away? I wish I could visit the sea and watch the waves crashing on the shore. Aamenah sighed. Aamenah loved the early morning time to herself, to savor the quiet, breathe in fresh air, collect her thoughts, and observe nature waking up. She walked among the trees, touching their big trunks, feeling the rough bark and crevices. As she reached one of the biggest and oldest trees, she climbed up onto a high branch and sat down. Do you like to climb trees? Have you ever climbed one? Aamenah lived with her grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, and siblings. Recently, her uncles, aunts, and lots of little cousins had joined them. Although she loved them all, it did seem a bit crowded and hard to find a quiet spot to gather her thoughts. Why do you think her uncles and aunts and little cousins have all come to live with her? Are they going to be living there for a long time, or do you think they're just visiting? Let's find out. It wasn't always like this. All of them used to live in different areas in Palestine, but now they were all living together because it wasn't safe in the areas where her family used to live. Looking toward the house, she could see Mama coming out holding Grandma, and Halima with a thermos of tea and cups, and Saeed, her older cousin, with a tray of breakfast goodies. What do you think they're having for breakfast? What do you like to have for breakfast? Aamenah got down from the tree and walked over to where Baba had laid out the blanket for all of them to sit. Looking at the wholesome breakfast of piping hot pita bread, hummus, olive oil, creamy labneh, olives, honey, pickled vegetables, and falafel, made her realize that she was starving. Ooh, that looks like a lot of food, and everything looks really yummy. She sat near her mama, taking small bites of the flatbread dipped in hummus and labneh. Mama passed her a small cup of lime tea with sugar cubes. Earthy, minty, with some sweetness. Delicious, Aamenah thought while savoring the warm tea. I can't wait for the harvest season, Aamenah said. It's my favorite time. Mine too, said Cousin Sauda. I used to wait eagerly for olive harvesting time when I was little, said Mama, taking a sip from her tea. God willing, we will get to the harvest time without trouble, she continued with a sad sigh. Why do you think her mom is sad? Mama closed her eyes and spoke in a low voice. I can still picture the plump, firm olives dangling from the branches. I used to have so much fun climbing the trees and shaking the branches to make the olives fall. Harvest time was always a festive occasion with our families, cousins, friends, and neighbors gathering together. Yes, Grandma said with a sparkle in her eyes. Everyone would be busy with laying out the nets under the trees, climbing the trees and shaking out the olives. There would be laughter and chatter in the air, the adults exchanging news about their lives, and the younglings playing games and helping the elders. That's right, Aunt Halima chimed in as she sat down to have breakfast with us. We would start early in the morning and work until midday, when we'd stop for lunch and prayers, and then continue till just before dusk when it would be hard to see those olives. They are talking about memories, right? Is it something that they're doing now? Seems like that's something that they used to do before, and now they're missing those times. We would spread out a big blanket and have lunch near the olive trees. I would feel so happy and never wanted the day to end, continued Aunt Halima. We would all be so exhausted at the end of the day that we'd be asleep as soon as our heads touched the pillows. It used to be such a peaceful, happy sleep without worry. But then again, those were the days, said Uncle Saleh, sounding sad. Do you feel that the adults are sad and the children are happy? Or do you think everyone sounds sad? Slowly, the rest of the family trickled in to have their tea. After breakfast, Amenah's Baba helped Grandma walk slowly to where the chair and helped her sit from where she and Grandpa could enjoy watching the hills and the farm. Baba then headed to the farm with Amenah's older cousins. Aamenah quickly helped Mama with the chores inside the house before going to assist on the farm. As Aamenah sat on a tree branch one morning, she appreciated the joy of having her family all together. Even though it could feel crowded at times, they still had fun playing games and doing chores together. She had the opportunity to get to know her cousins better and felt a beautiful friendship forming with Haura, who was her age. She understands me, mused Aamenah. Do you have cousins who are your age, or are your cousins just too young or too old? I've got cousins my age, and we had fun growing up together. Glancing around the farm, her thoughts turned to her Baba, who seemed worried about something. In fact, All the elders seemed tense recently. Aamenah thought out loud. They think we're too young, so I guess they don't want to worry us by telling us much. Do you have any idea why they might be worried and what they might be worried about? Aamenah wished she knew what was happening. She had a feeling that troubled times were coming their way. Hawra had told her the invaders had taken over their homes, and that was why they had to leave and stay with Aamenah. Aamenah worriedly thought, what if they came here and did do the same? What will we do? Then, one night, a month before harvesting, Aamenah woke up in the middle of the night. She thought she heard something, and a strange smell was coming from the open window. She went to look out the window, and a bright yellow light was coming from the farm. She didn't understand what it could be. Looking closer, she shuddered, realizing it was a fire on their precious farm. She felt scared and ran to Baba and Mama's room. Baba! Mama! Aamenah screamed breathlessly. I think the farm is on fire! Baba and Mama scrambled to their feet quickly and went to look out the window. Mama screamed, the trees! Baba just ran out the door while calling out to his brothers, Saleh, Ibrahim, Sulaiman, come, hurry! Aamenah rushed to the window again and took a glimpse. The olive trees are burning, she cried desperately. She, her mama, and her aunts, who had also woken up due to the noise, grabbed their veils to cover themselves and ran toward the farm. Wow. How could this have happened? Do you think someone did it? Or was it an accident? They couldn't get too close to the trees due to the heat and sparks. Aamenah saw with horror that most of their beloved olive trees were on fire. Baba stood there, unable to move. He was too shocked. The rest of them quickly grabbed buckets and started to fill them with water from the water well. Some of them started dumping the water, and some of them were trying to douse the fire with whatever they could find. It was so hot and smoky and hard to see exactly. They couldn't use the hose. There was hardly any water coming from the pipes because their water source was rationed by the invaders who had taken control of the main water resources. Those cruel invaders, uninvited tenants, water is for everyone to share, muttered Aamenah fiercely. After an hour, they finally managed to douse the fire. They all were too exhausted, so they just sat down, huddling each other, with tears streaming down their faces. Aamenah was horrified. She couldn't quite believe this was happening. She had heard about others who had suffered such fate, but she never quite thought it would happen to them. It seemed so unreal. Maybe it's just a nightmare, she whispered to herself. Do you think it's a nightmare, or do you think it's really happening? It was almost time for morning prayers. They went inside to pray their morning prayers and then headed back to the farm, trying to clear out the area and see which trees were completely damaged and which ones could be salvaged, although it seemed like almost all the trees were damaged. Baba was heartbroken. He had tended to these trees since he was a young boy, and these olive trees took his whole life to grow into big mature trees bearing lots of olives. This was his livelihood, and now most of it was scorched, burned. The next morning, Aamenah went to see her trees with a pail of water to water her baby trees. Unfortunately, hardly any had survived, so she just put water around their bases. "I'm so sorry, dear olive trees. It must have been painful to feel the raging heat and flames, and parts of you were burnt to bits," cried Aamenah sorrowfully, tears streaming down her face. Mama came and put an arm around her. "These were like your babies. You had taken good care of them. I'm so proud of you," she said sympathetically. Baba also came and sat down beside them. "I'm so sorry, my sweet Aamenah. What they did is cruel and heartless. Trees are supposed to be respected. No one can just cut down or burn trees to destroy them," Baba proclaimed, clearly appalled. "Do you know that olive trees are strong and resilient? They are also mentioned in the Holy Book, God's words, the Quran," Baba continued. "Did you know that olives are mentioned in the Holy Quran? Do you know the Arabic word for olives? It is called zaytun. With God's help, the trees will overcome and spring back to life," Mama said encouragingly. Baba and Mama got back to helping others, but Aamenah stayed a little longer near where her little trees once grew. "I know you will bounce back, little olive trees. You're strong, like Mama said, and you are the blessed olive trees to be respected and cared for," whispered Aamenah with renewed hope in her heart. After a few nights, the elders sat down to discuss things. Baba said the invaders did the same to some farms at the edge of the village not too far from theirs, and that this was just the beginning. "Beginning of what?" Aamenah wondered while going to get some water to drink. "This is how they want to squeeze us and take our lands," Uncle Ibrahim cried out. "The invaders brought bulldozers into our village and kept telling us to go away. And when we stood our ground, they started hurting us. They bulldozed our homes while the people were still inside. In the end, we were forced to move," Uncle Suleiman expressed sadly. Aamenah shuddered as she heard this. Was this really happening? "Where would we go? This is our home, our land," Mama retorted. "This is what happens when humans forget their humanity and are gripped by their ugliness within. May God save us from that," said Uncle Saleh. "I think we should take the women and children to a safe place, and the men can stay here as long as they can," Uncle Suleiman chimed in. Aamenah felt a little knot of fear grow inside her. "Are we leaving our home? Where will we go? Will we come back? These thoughts were starting to make her very scared. Baba announced that everyone should pack a small bag with just the basic essentials. He and Uncle Ibrahim will take Grandpa, Grandma, the women and children to a hopefully safe spot. The adults finished discussing and Aamenah went to her room and sat on her bed, feeling too anxious to do anything. After a while, there was a knock on the door, and Mama and Aunt Halima came into the room. They hugged the girls and said, "We want you to pack a few pairs of clothes, socks, underwear, and other essentials. Try not to make it too heavy, as you will have to carry your own bags." Aunt Halima then handed them backpacks and added, "We'll see you downstairs soon." Is this really happening? Do you think they're leaving their home? I might never see this room again, Aamenah thought unhappily. She walked toward the window and looked out. She loved watching the scenery outside, the hills, the lovely jasmines which grew on the side of the house, the olive trees, now mostly burnt. "There are so many memories here," she mumbled loudly. Hawra came over and hugged Aamenah. "I felt the same way when we had to leave our home," she said. "It was so scary. We didn't have much time, so we took what we could and ran." Amenah's head was buzzing with so many thoughts and emotions. But she knew she had to hurry. She looked around and saw her small Quran. She opened it to one of her favorite pages, read it, and smiled. "Look, Hawra!" Aamenah showed her the lines. So she showed her the lines from chapter 94, verse number 5. Let us open the Quran and see what this one is talking about. What is this chapter all about? Chapter 94 in the Holy Quran is titled Surah Al-Inshirah. And in this chapter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making a promise and He is repeating that 2 times. Let's recite the surah together and see what is it that Allah is repeating 2 times. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب صدق الله العلي العظيم. Did you find out which verse Allah is repeating 2 times? Yes. He says, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, and then He repeats, إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. It means, with difficulty comes ease. I love this verse, and it seems like Aamenah is also finding comfort reading this verse from the Quran. It's as if Allah is talking to her and Allah is talking to us when we read the Holy Quran. If we remember this constantly, we will gain strength from God's words, Aamenah said. Hawra nodded with a smile. Aamenah packed her Quran, prayer mat, rosary, and favorite supplication book along with some pictures from the shelf. After some time, they both headed down to the kitchen. Amenah's mom gave them some water bottles and food to put in their backpacks. Mama, can we look around the house before we go? Asked Aamenah. Amenah's mom paused, deciding. Okay, but Ismail will come with you and Hawra and be back in 10 minutes. Now hurry along, she exclaimed. The three of them grabbed the flashlights that Mama handed them and they hurried outside. Hawra and Ismail followed Aamenah as she rushed to the area where Baba kept plants and olive saplings. Let's take a few and pack them in our bags, she instructed the others. She pulled the saplings along with the roots from the pots, brushed out the leftover soil, and wrapped them with newspaper that she had brought along. They all packed some saplings and olive seeds. We will plant them wherever we go, and with God's help, the seeds will turn into strong olive trees, she told the others. They continued their walk around the house and then quickly went to see the farm. As they approached the area where the baby olive trees once stood, Aamenah saw some green shoots. Look! Can you believe it? It's like Mama said. The olive trees are resilient. They're starting to spring back up already. They truly are the blessed olive trees, exclaimed Aamenah. As Aamenah and her family started to leave their home, she looked back and said, sniffing softly, I will come back. She hoped and prayed that her family and home would remain safe. Now this story is something that is actually happening in Palestine. The invaders, the bad people, the mean people are actually going around stealing people's houses and their lands and burning their farms. They're actually forcing the Palestinians to leave their homes. And when we read and when we hear about this, it makes us feel very sad. And it makes us feel very helpless. The Palestinians are very strong in their faith. They open the Quran, they read the Quran, they know that Allah is with them. But what about us? Those of us who are far away, who really want to help them. What can we do? There is one thing that we can definitely do, and that is to pray for them. Our 12th Imam has taught us a dua which is called Dua Ilahi Azm al-Bala. In that dua, we are asking Allah for help and we are asking the Holy Prophet and Imam Ali and especially our 12th Imam for help. Our Imam is alive and Allah is going to send him one day to bring about peace and justice in this world. And our Imam is going to need us to help him. So we have to prepare ourselves to be the helpers of the Imam and at the same time pray to Allah to hasten his reappearance. And while we're waiting for the Imam and trying to prepare ourselves, we can also read this dua together to pray for the oppressed people around the world and to pray for the Imam's help. So together, Let us recite Dua Ilahi Azm al-Bala. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. إلهي عظم البلاء وبرح الخفاء وانكشف الغطاء وانقطع الرجاء وضاقت الأرض ومنعت السماء وأنت المستعان وإليك المشتكى وعليك المعول في الشدة والرخاء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أولي الأمر الذين فرضت علينا طاعتهم وعرفتنا بذلك منزلتهم ففرج عنا بحقهم فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر أو هو أقرب. يا محمد يا علي يا علي يا محمد اكفيانا فإنكما كافيان وانصرانا فإنكما ناصران. يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان الغوث 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 أدركنا 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 الساعة 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 العجل العجل العجل. يا أرحم الراحمين بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. What are we asking Allah in this dua? We are saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My Lord, the calamity is too great and the absence is too long. The curtain of protection has been torn and hope is being cut off. The land is becoming uninhabitable and the sky is withholding its rains of mercy. And it is your help we seek, and to you we complain, and only you we trust in times of difficulty and ease. O Allah, send your blessings on Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, the ones in authority, the ones whom you have commanded us to obey, and whose special position you have made us aware of. So give us for their sake immediate relief, as quick as a wink or even quicker. O Muhammad, O Ali, O Ali, O Muhammad, assist us, for you are both enough for us, and help us, for you are both our helpers. O our Master, Master of the time, help, 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 Rescue us, rescue us, rescue us. Right now, right now, right now. Hurry, hurry, hurry. O most merciful of the merciful, for the sake of Muhammad and his pure family. Khuda Hafiz. Until next time.